Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to completely rethink how you approach homemade Indian food. You know, if you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by long, complex ingredient lists, or maybe you've been a little disappointed when your homemade attempts just kind of lack that authentic restaurant-quality flavor, well, you're absolutely in the right place. We're unpacking how a single foundational Northern Indian curry paste can become the ultimate master key in your kitchen. We're going to explore exactly how this one simple base can seamlessly transform into endless, authentic, everyday meals, and the best part? It doesn't require you to slave over a hot stove every single night.
So, let's dive right into this. 100. That number represents the sheer volume of amazing recipes you're going to unlock once you master this one simple paste. We're not just teaching you a single recipe today, we're actually giving you a complete culinary framework. From lentils and beans to fresh, vibrant vegetables and savory meats, this base is literally the starting point for all of them.
Here is our game plan for today. First, the universal base. Second, unlearning common mistakes. Third, the 8 core ingredients. Fourth, cooking the master paste. And finally, endless recipes.
Starting off with Section 1, the universal base. We are solving the frozen food dilemma.
Okay, we're tackling a massive pain point for busy people right out of the gate, and that's trying to freeze and reheat fully cooked curries. Look, freezing an entire finished curry often completely destroys the texture of the vegetables or the meat. When you eventually thaw and reheat it, let's be honest, it usually tastes like a mushy relic from the previous ice age. So, the absolute crucial point here is that by freezing just the cooked, highly concentrated paste instead of the whole meal, you completely preserve the integrity of your food. When you're ready to eat, you just combine this frozen or refrigerated base with fresh proteins or veggies, and it tastes brand new every single time.
Moving right along to Section 2, unlearning common curry mistakes. It's time to clear out those old habits.
Let's actually look at where so many home cooks go wrong with 4 incredibly common traps. First up, chopping your onions and tomatoes into chunks that are just way too large. They're never going to dissolve into that beautifully smooth, homogeneous gravy you're looking for. Second, adding too much water. You end up turning a rich, hearty curry into a watery soup, or sometimes people overcompensate by adding way too much oil. Third, rushing the process and undercooking the base. This leaves a really unpleasant, raw, almost metallic taste in the final dish. But honestly, the absolute biggest mistake is the fourth one, relying entirely on those overpowering, store-bought curry powders to do all the heavy lifting.
Listen, if there is literally one single thing you take away from this explainer, it's understanding the fundamental difference between these two approaches. A Master Fresh paste uses just 4 basic foundational spices that are specifically designed to enhance and highlight the natural flavors of your vegetables or meat. Store-bought curry powder or garam masala, on the flip side, is usually packed with incredibly strong, aggressive spices. Think clove, black pepper, heavy cardamom. When you dump a spoonful of that into your pan, it completely kills the subtle flavors of your food. It's just overwhelmingly pungent, which is exactly why you can't eat it every single day without getting completely tired of it.
Which brings us to Section 3, the 8 core ingredients. This right here is the blueprint for perfect flavor.
The actual blueprint is surprisingly simple, really. It all starts with a very specific structural ratio. You need exactly a 1-to-2 ratio by weight. That is 1 medium onion, sitting at roughly 100 grams, and 2 medium tomatoes, weighing in at 200 grams. You know, you can chop them up super finely, but if you want to use a lot less oil when you cook, it's highly advisable to just puree the onion and the tomatoes beforehand.
Now, alongside the onion and tomato, you need that aromatic backbone. You're going to blend up equal parts fresh, peeled ginger and garlic. Add just a tiny splash of water to help your blender turn it into a nice, smooth paste. Or hey, if you only need it for a single batch, you can totally just crush them finely in a mortar and pestle. You'll need exactly 1 teaspoon of this incredibly potent mix.
All right, here is the magic formula. You're definitely going to want to remember this, because these specific measurements of these 4 basic spices are the absolute master key to that perfect flavor profile. You need 1 tablespoon of coriander powder, half a tablespoon of cumin powder, half a teaspoon of turmeric for that gorgeous golden color, and 1 teaspoon of red chili powder. Kashmiri red chili is highly preferred here, mostly because it gives this rich, vibrant red color without making the dish agonizingly spicy.
I really want to pause on this quote from the source material because it's just a critical rule of food chemistry and Indian cooking. Never, ever invert those top 2 measurements. If you use more cumin and coriander, your gravy's going to turn unappealingly dark and it will taste really bitter. Oh, and a super quick tip on the chili. If you only have a mild sweet paprika instead of Kashmiri chili, you're going to lose that essential heat.
To fix that, actually just grab a fresh green chili, slice it, remove the seeds, and toss it in so you maintain that perfect, necessary warmth.
All right, Section 4, Cooking the Master Paste. Let's talk about the alchemy of spice and heat.
The cooking process is super methodical. First, make sure you use a thick-bottomed pan so nothing burns, and choose a really good cooking fat. Ghee, mustard oil, or peanut oil work great. Get it hot on medium heat and add your onion, ginger, and garlic paste. You'll instantly hear this wonderful, vibrant spluttering sound. Cook this for about 3 to 4 minutes until that raw smell completely fades away. Next up, add those 4 perfectly measured dry spices and cook them for exactly 1 minute. Then mix in your tomato puree. Just a quick note, if you're using store-bought puree, definitely reduce the quantity by half because it's already highly concentrated. Finally, cook the entire mixture for 5 more minutes until it visibly thickens up.
A lot of beginners ask, is the curry ready right now as soon as the onions are browned? Of course not. Tossing in those spices and letting them bloom in the hot oil for that crucial 1 minute is where the real magic happens. It unlocks their volatile oils and deepens their flavor exponentially.
So how do you actually know when it's done? Well, you look for this sensory signpost. When the paste is drying out in the pan and you can physically see the oil separating and pulling away at the edges, that means it's fully cooked. This guarantees the raw, highly acidic aromas of the tomato and garlic have completely mellowed out. At this point, you take it right off the heat, let it cool down, and store it in a jar.
But wait a second. Think back to the ingredients. Notice anything missing? We didn't add a single pinch of salt during this entire process, which sounds crazy, right? But surprisingly, you should leave the salt out completely during this foundational phase. You save the seasoning for later, giving you absolute, complete control over the sodium levels when you actually deploy the paste into a specific finished recipe.
Finally, Section 5. One paste, endless recipes. Unlocking those real-world applications.
Because you have this absolute flavor bomb sitting right there in your fridge or freezer, your options are limitless. You can literally take a few tablespoons of this paste, throw it in a pot with water and any of these combinations: cauliflower and potatoes, green peas and paneer cheese, tofu with steamed veggies, or even hearty kidney beans. Cook them together, add your salt, and boom! Suddenly you have a rich, complex lunch that will absolutely make your coworkers incredibly jealous.
Let's look at a super concrete example. Here is exactly how you turn that base into a classic chickpea curry in under 10 minutes. So at minute 0, heat a little oil. If you want to be fancy, you can add some optional whole spices like a bay leaf, cinnamon stick, or some cardamom. By minute 2, the oil is fragrant, so you just stir in 4 to 5 tablespoons of your pre-cooked master curry paste. At minute 3, toss in canned or pre-boiled chickpeas and whatever amount of water you want to get your gravy's perfect consistency. Let it simmer, and by minute 8, when you hear a rolling boil, dinner is literally served.
Now, what if you want to use this for meat? Say you're craving a chicken curry. The technique actually shifts just a bit. You heat the oil, add your master paste, and then toss in your raw chicken. But here is the major secret. You must skip the water entirely. Cover the pot with a lid and let the chicken cook completely in its own natural juices. This intensifies the flavor of the meat like crazy and merges perfectly with that concentrated paste. And to make sure you literally never, ever get bored of this base, you can so easily tweak the final dish right before serving. Stir in some dried fenugreek leaves for a complex umami kick. Toss in a handful of fresh herbs, like coriander. You could swirl in some cashew cream for this luxurious restaurant-style richness, or just add a dollop of yogurt to alter the gravy's tanginess. You are creating a completely new flavor profile every single day, all from the exact same master paste.
You now have the ultimate master key to authentic, stress-free, homemade Indian food. By front-loading just a little bit of prep work, you bypass all the usual pitfalls of those overpowering store-bought powders and watery gravies. So my final question to you is this. If one simple, freezable paste can replace an entire cabinet full of powders and instantly unlock 100 fresh, healthy recipes, what are you going to cook first? Get into the kitchen, have some fun, and I'll see you in the next explainer.